welcome to the Cinema Condition. This is your host, Raul Alejandro Mendoza, or as I prefer you guys call me, the Nerd Chicano. I'm a filmmaker and creator of the Nerdcore Podcast Network. And today we are seated none other than in front of the incredible Jibril Newton.
How you doing?
How you doing? How you doing?
How you doing?
Yep.
How you doing?
Yep. Today we are going to be discussing the 2018 film BLINDSPOTTING from Carlos Lopez Estrada. And Jibril is the co-host of High Flyer Radio, the best damn wrestling show on the internet. And
Yes,
also,
sir. Best believe.
Yes, sir. And he is a fan of movies, and he is probably one of the best dressed people I've ever seen.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
I do
sir.
try.
Yeah, he's got the bandana on today.
Thank
Jibril,
you.
how are we doing?
Doing really good, man. Thank you for having me on the show. Honestly, I was really like, when I saw your Twitter that you came out with the show,
Yeah.
I was like, oh damn, my boy got a new show. I was like, I gotta get on there
On
at
my
some
own
point.
feed too,
on his
bro.
own feed. I was like, I gotta
Yep.
get on at some point. So thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking me to pick a movie, and I'm super glad we picked this one. This was like my first choice, honestly.
We're going to have ourselves a conversation, my friend.
Yes,
a
we are,
big
man.
one, a big one.
Yes, we are.
So here at the Cinema Condition, if you don't know, I'm going to be repeating this for the first 5 episodes. This is episode 4, so please stay with me because I know I'm going to be repetitive, but I gotta remind the people when who are just tuning in for the first time. Here at the Cinema Condition, we take one movie with our guest and we analyze every single corner of that film, discuss its themes, the cinematography, the production design, the performances, whatever. This is not a review show, nor is it a movie news show. It is just a film that is just a show that celebrates the love of filmmaking and the deeper meaning in the film we are watching. So we had last episode, the great Ayden Byrnes, as we talked 1999's Audition. And before that, we had Michelle Ochoa to do Makoto Shinkai's The Garden of Words. And, of course, our debut episode was Climax from Gaspar Noé with our wonderful artist here at the Nerdcore Podcast Network, Alexandra Almea. And I'm really happy to have Jibril here with me. I'm sorry, guys, I couldn't continue the streak of only women on the show. You know, it was a three episode. I did not notice this. Leo was like, "Hey, you've only had girls on." I'm like, "Huh? Oh, that's kind of right. You're right. You're right." Sorry, I couldn't continue it.
I had to break it up. Sorry,
All
sorry,
right.
ladies. You all are very lovely. I know where I can't compete with such beauty and elegance. But hey, I'm here.
Girls not listening. yeah. No, such elegance, eloquence, and just the incredible intellectualism from the wonderful ladies that were on this show.
And
but don't worry.
Tough as hell too, because everybody
as
know
hell.
women are tough as hell.
Tough as hell, man.
Yeah.
Tough as hell, and that's something we're gonna talk about in this movie, bro.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
these women are tough as hell. And so, we're going to be talking with Jibril today, and I'm really happy Jibril's here. Jibril's a friend of mine, recent friendship, my friends, from last year, and it's been a really good time. You know, Jibril has joined my network, and I still need to take a picture for him for the website so we can have his own profile on the website since he is a member of this wonderful team. But I just haven't had the time to go take him outside and say, hey, get in front of the camera for me, buddy. Yeah.
We'll get one.
Yeah, we'll get one. Yeah, so he's even been initiated too. So like, I don't know what's the problem here.
We just haven't found the right time, right place,
and the right outfit, right?
And the right outfit, man. I gotta go through my wardrobe real quick.
Yeah, you got a stunt for the
Ask
pig.
the missus too. I'm like, yo, we'll get it. I might have to put on a suit on for this one.
Damn, bro. Not even Brad has a suit on. I don't even have a suit on. But Jibril, he's the co-host of Firefly Radio. We've been having a really good time.
Yes, we have.
But Cinema Condition, it's just because it's one episode doesn't mean you can never come back. Jibril and everybody before these episodes can come back anytime they want. They just have to tell me the movie. And at the end of the episode, Jibril will give us a movie he recommends and a movie that he calls dibs on for season 2. Yeah. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk a little bit of Carlos Lopez Estrada.
All right.
Because I want to introduce him before we actually get into the film BLINDSPOTTING. So, Carlos Lopez Estrada was born in September 12, 1988 in Mexico. And he immigrated to the United States at the age of 12. He made his directorial debut in 2018, of course, with BLINDSPOTTING. This is his only film he's made. But it isn't the only stuff he's ever made. He's a music video director. and he's made music videos for artists such as the Goo Goo Dolls, Passion Pit, and Jesse Joy, Spanish group. And he's also made he's also won an award for that music video he did with Jesse Joy for best short short form music video at the Latin Grammys. He's a Latin Grammy, bro.
Hey, I
a
see
Latin
you
Grammy,
got
yeah.
one.
He met David Diggs when he partnered. He worked on some projects with clipping.
Mm-hmm.
So he met David Diggs and would, of course, go on to make a bunch of work with David Diggs since. He also directed the last episode of Legion, episode 22. It's also the last episode of the show in general. And he directed When the Party's Over, for the music video from Billie Eilish last year.
Oh, dang.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. And dude, he is currently developing a film with Disney. And that's cool. Disney Animation Studios.
All right.
Yeah. So Carlos Lopez Estrada is one of the filmmakers that I gotta say that you gotta look out in these coming years because of what he's just made in BLINDSPOTTING. And yeah, man, this guy, of course, Latino, and I gotta hit that up, right? You know, gotta bring that up.
Gotta bring that up.
Gotta bring it up. It's my people, bro. Yep. And he did great. He did great with this movie.
Yeah, he did, man.
Yeah. And BLINDSPOTTING, of course. Why did it take me to Blind Spot, not Blind? Come on, man. BLINDSPOTTING is, of course, directed by him. It's also produced by him.
Yep.
He did not write the film, though. What's it called? I believe David Diggs and Vincent Cassel. Vincent Cassel. Hey, great actor, but he's definitely not in this one.
Yeah.
No French actors are in this one. What's it called? It was written by Rafael Casal and David Diggs. It produced by David Diggs, Rafael Casal, Jess Calder, and Keith Calder. Oh, so it wasn't produced by Carlos. It was just directed by him. It stars David Diggs, Rafael Casal, Hanina Gavankar, Jasmine Cephas Jones, Ethan Embry, Tisha Campbell Martin, Utkarsh Abdukar, and Wayne Knight. The incredible music done by Michael Yuzerski, who is the drummer in Hamilton.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And David was also in Hamilton.
Yep, of course. And this movie came out in July 20th, 2018, but it had its premiere in January 18, 2018 in Sundance. And this film deals with two movers. One of them just on his last 3 days of probation. Yep. And he just needs to stay out of trouble
for 3 days.
For 3 days, so that way he doesn't go back to jail. Yep. And one night, when coming back home from doing his job, he witnesses the murder of an unarmed black man at the hands of the police. Yep. And from there, we see the events unfold of David Diggs' character as he basically maneuvers the life of being a black man in Oakland, and also just the rapidly changing scenery of Oakland and gentrification and so many things. Jibril, this was my first time watching this film. I knew about this film and I had to watch it. What was your reaction when you first watched this movie, dude?
When I first watched it, I was I guess I'll say I was surprised. One, that it was so good because I was not used to seeing movies that weren't on the big screen, or that didn't make it to theaters, like that had a huge, following. This was probably one of the first movies. One of the first. I've seen a couple, but like one of the first movies I was like, you know what, I'm gonna watch it even though there's not a lot of hype around it.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons was because of David Diggs. I followed him with Hamilton, and I was a huge fan of how he did Hamilton and everything.
Great in Blackish as well.
Yeah.
Blackish
as well, yeah, man. So I was like, I love this dude. Following Instagram, and he posted the movie. So that year, the two biggest movies that I know that didn't get a lot of acclaim was BLINDSPOTTING and the one with was it Sorry to Bother You? Sorry to Bother You.
Another incredible movie.
Yeah, both those came out that year, and I was like, man, I'm watching both of these, even though I don't care, there's not a lot of hype about them, but I love both the actors. Lakeith is amazing. Lakeith Stanfield, I love him. So I was like, I'm gonna watch him. And so when I saw it and I saw how it was, I was like, there's movies out here. It was officially like in my mind, there's movies out here that are not critically acclaimed and are still great movies.
Yeah.
And from that point on, I was like, I'm definitely gonna follow whatever movie I see or interests me. I'm gonna watch it. I don't care if there's a claim or not. And then when I watched it, I was blown away.
So this movie really changed the way that you approach watching movies too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like you weren't like, oh, if it's not a big selling blockbuster or a blockbuster or a movie that seems to be getting a lot of acclaim on the internet, this was the movie that said, hey, you know what? Those things don't matter. I gotta go check out whatever fascinates me.
Hands down. Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome, man.
Yeah,
What's it called? There's always movies like that always come to mind. I can't remember the last one that made me do that.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I can't remember the first one that made me do that. But I know that I was there too. There was a movie that I remember seeing that was like, oh wow, this wasn't even getting attention. It was freaking amazing.
Yeah.
I do agree with you. Sorry to Bother You was incredible. That was one of my favorite movies of that year.
Yeah. Same.
And if I would have watched this movie that year, this would have been in there too.
Oh,
this
yeah,
was
for
incredible.
Sure. I was, like, from the cinematography to like just the dialogue that they had, and to not joke about a serious thing, because at that time and still now, unarmed black men being killed is a situation that's been touched on, and also gentrification. So the fact that they put both of those in one movie and didn't make it to where it's like they were preaching at us or they were like making us hate cops or anything like that. Was super well done in my opinion. Because at the end of it, I didn't have any hate for cops. I could see that there are cops that do wrong and there are cops that do right, and that there's people who are treated badly, people that are not treated fairly. But it didn't make me come out this movie saying I hate anybody, you know. And I love the fact that it did that, and at the same time I enjoyed the movie for what it was. Yeah. And it still touched on serious situations.
There's a lot of themes to this film. There's
a lot. There's a lot of layers.
It's also interesting that it's not just from the black perspective. It seems to also be there's a hint of there in the Latino experience too. But also Rafael Casal's character, he's white. Yeah. And there's a very interesting identity crisis that happens in there. And I think there's a lot of conversation. This film provokes a lot of conversations that we need to have, which is it's really tough in this day and age when some people just don't want to have a conversation. No, they want things to be a certain way. Yep. And you know, but this film it's really well made in that sense. I got my notes here. I've got a lot of stuff that I really enjoy. I really enjoy the comedy bits in this film. A lot. I think it adds a little bit of levity to the tension you feel throughout. I know those last 30 minutes of that film had me like sweating my palms. My palms were sweating. Yeah. Because certain aspects, like, you know, just a cop stopping, him keeping the gun in his pocket, like it was like, oh, I know the situation way too well. Yeah. I know what might just happen. So when that light is shining on him, I'm like, here we go. Yeah, it's about to happen. I think it's about to happen, and no, it doesn't happen. And I'm like, oh, oof. And then things like I forgot that she said she canceled the service with the alarm. Yeah. Because if you remember, those alarms after a certain time they alert the police, and the police come over here. Exactly. So I was saying, please shut the door. Please shut the door. And then I remember when they're down there with the cop, I'm like, oh wait. She canceled the service. It's just ringing, just a ring. The cops aren't going to show up. Yeah. So it was just something like it was just those subtle things that were really, really amazing about this movie, and it's just, you know, Daveed Diggs does an incredible job in this movie. To me, he should have been nominated for this movie. This is an incredible powerhouse performance from him.
It's such a great performance, man. And like to only see him in Hamilton and Blackish to this was like, man, he exceeded my expectations tremendously. Yeah. Like, honestly, I was like, I wasn't expecting a lot from this movie. Yeah. And they, you know, by far sold it. But like you said, details like that alone show like the thought that went into this movie. Because they didn't let like, okay, we're just going to forget about the alarm and then it goes off. Like, no, they told you.
Leave it going. Leave it going. Yeah, leave it going. Yeah. They told you. She canceled the service. Yep. Yeah. Also, just small things like that mom clenching the hand of her son when she's walking out. Same. Or the people at the party when Rafael Casal's character, what was his name? Not Miles. I'm sorry. I'm thinking Miles Morales.
I was thinking Miles too. I just saw his name too. Yeah. It's Colin.
No. That's Daveed Diggs.
Yeah,
what's Raphael's?
Raphael's is
not Miles. It's
me, bro. What is it? Where's it?
I just
Miles. It is Miles. You're right.
It is Miles?
You're right.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it is Miles. When Miles is just beating everybody up, and you know, it's that mentality of seeing what the ghetto creates, right? Yeah. And it's the people up there, like they're scared, and they're like, oh, you know, like they can't believe that this is happening. and it's really interesting. Especially the first part, the opening of the movie, really showing Oakland in a split view, showing the real Oakland and the new Oakland, the new Oakland, and that's really interesting. It's a decision that Carlos uses that's really really interesting. I gotta say, this movie brings up, like I said, brings up a lot of conversations. Something that kept on popping into my mind is a thing that I heard John Stephen Roca say on an episode of the Cinephiles a while ago. Podcast that I really like to listen to. They basically analyze movies too, right?
Yeah.
It's basically analyze movies too. And he said that he was saying being Latino, but I take this as an issue with every person of color, especially black people. Ever since you're young, you're ingrained with a fear of going to jail.
Yep.
There's literally only two routes a person of color can take in this country. It's to die at the hands of the cop, or go to jail at the hands of the cop. And this movie reminds you of that really harshly, because Daveed Diggs' character, even though he goes to jail for something that to me shouldn't be justified, right?
Right.
You should never put your hands on somebody, but I understand how you could get into that situation when you're aggravated by something. Like, it's microaggressions like that really, it's like somebody saying to me, "Okay, amigo," in a very condescending tone.
Yeah.
The same way he told Daveed Diggs, he told Colin, "Hold on, dog."
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it's aggravating. It sets somebody off, especially when you've been treated that way your whole life and you've been seen that way your whole life. But what did you think about that aspect of the movie, Jibril? Just the whole the way they maneuver the justice system in this movie.
I think they did it pretty well, because I don't know if you realize that Raphael, also known as Miles, also beat the dude, but nothing happened to him. Yeah, he was scot free. While Miles was locked up. While Colin was locked up.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because at the same time, when he got out, he had some passive aggressiveness, but he never once blamed Raphael until the very ending, when they all everything finally blew over, and they finally had that honest conversation with each other.
It's a tough thing, because it's I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Yeah. It's the whole sense of because I know you know me, right?
Yeah.
I grew up in areas like that. It's the sense of this is what I've known my whole life. And it seems that to me, Miles' character, even though he's not black, he wanted to be black.
Yeah.
He wanted to be black. He just didn't want to take the consequences of being black.
Exactly.
And he doesn't. He even though he sees the consequences of it, he really doesn't understand it until that last bit of the movie.
Yeah.
Where it really clicks in his head that he was getting his best friend into trouble, into situations that she shouldn't be getting into, and he should understand more as a friend, but also as having a friend who's a person of color.
Right, exactly. And it was so unclear to him for the longest, and you can see it because he's like, this is how Oakland is, this is how it's supposed to be, but he didn't realize him doing it versus Colin doing it are two different things.
Yeah.
Way different.
Yeah. Because of the color of their skin, they live two different lives. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a really interesting theme that this movie brings up.
Yeah, he portrayed it really well.
And it's not the thing that they presents Colin as a culture vulture, as said at one point. It's also the idea that what do the poor people the poor white people in the ghetto, what do they get to? What is the identity that they can claim?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the thing. It's what I wrote here. Having to prove the identity.
Yeah.
Because sadly, their whiteness doesn't really give them much of an identity. So it gives an easy way for them to claim blackness when it isn't theirs to claim, right?
Yeah.
So it gets really hard when people dap you up every day. They see you as their own, but you can't be that.
Yeah.
You can't be that.
No matter how much you try.
So it really hurt. It really leaves an identity crisis in Colin to decide, well, what am I then?
Yeah.
What am I? Am I just some white boy? Or am I really what these people keep calling me?
Right.
And instead he adapts the personality that David Diggs is that Cullen really tries to get away from, because he knows that that's the one thing the country keeps seeing in him.
Yeah.
While Cullen can adapt that personality, and they'll just see him as just another crazy white boy, right? Just another crazy white boy on the street, he's just whatever, right? Forget about him, right?
Right.
Yeah. And it's interesting, the themes that Carlos brings up with that.
Yeah, and like you said, he was trying his best to like try to be that of black, or exhibit that he's seen like in a ghetto or whatever.
Yeah.
And then David is like, I'm already black. I have nothing to prove.
No.
I just want to get my 3 days over with and be done and move away from that that whole environment. And it's that whole tug of war. He's trying to be it, but he's like, I'm already it. I just want to like find a better, I guess, lifestyle for me.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Miles is judging him, saying that he's trying to be like, I don't know how to say the new people, the gentrified, like.
Oh yeah, what's it called? The new Oakland folk.
Yeah, the new Oakland folk.
Yeah, so basically the hipsters.
Yeah, the hipsters, all that.
But what Cullen doesn't really understand is that after these 3 days, his blackness still follows him.
Yeah, regardless.
Yeah, it will always be there, and not only that, but he's a convicted felon, right?
Right.
And that's something that will always follow him too.
Forever.
And that's why he says when his mom says like, why don't you get your own place? You don't get it, Mom. It asks, are you a convicted felon? He has to click. Yeah, he has to check yes.
Yep.
Obviously, you're not going to be able to get your own place after that.
Exactly.
He's even lucky that he even has a job right now, because it's so hard for felons to even get jobs.
It's so hard, man.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because they're both really good friends, and you see it at the end. He understands him, but they both understand each other. But it's also really interesting to know that it's not just understanding your friend that really makes you conscious of the world. It's also understanding the consequences of what happens when you are a certain type of skin color, or you come from a certain place and you come from a certain economic status. It was really heartbreaking to see that economic disparity, man.
Yeah, definitely.
I gotta it's something that us being here, we see it all the time. I mean, what's that one place? Camp right here by the school. It's the coffee place. I can't remember. Literally right in front of the passing.
Yeah.
Where all the homeless people are just there.
Yeah, they just chill out there.
Yeah, it's by Third Ward.
Third Ward, yeah. I forgot the name of the place, but yeah, they just.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just it's I don't know how people just don't like understand the power in that. Like, you sit down in front of that window. You're eating your food that you basically paid like $20 for, right?
Yep.
And in front of you are just homeless people who don't have money, who don't have a home.
Nope. And
you're inside a building that basically costs dirt cheap to renovate, while you pay for $20 fucking food that they don't even have a cent to pay for.
Nope.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
It's
and it's what this film, it's gentrification, it's a lot of things. But yeah, I feel like I'm talking too much.
No,
you gotta bring it.
Good.
Yeah,
but like you said, especially with gentrification, it's even happening here. Like, they're trying to gentrify Third Ward and make it into.
It's basically already been.
Yeah, it's already started, and they're gonna continue it until honestly most of them are moved out or whatever. But it's even crazy. Like, and I'm glad the movie touched on that, because there's not many movies that touch on it. Yeah. Like, if they're gonna portray the hood, it's just gonna be straight hood. If they're gonna portray the suburb, it's gonna be straight suburb. So like, for them to even mix them and show that this is actually happening, that alone was cool, and I really appreciate them doing that.
Yeah.
And seeing them living in it, because honestly, I didn't know Oakland was being gentrified. I had no idea. Anytime people speak of Oakland, I'm like, I ain't going there. So I didn't even know this was going on in Oakland until I saw this movie.
Yeah, it's interesting the way they present the hood in here.
Yeah.
So a lot of movies, when they do that, it's always all crime-ridden place. That there's drugs here, there's drugs there. You never see a lick of crime in here. You never see a lick of drugs here. You never see fight. Well, there's fights going on.
Oh yeah.
But you never see things like. But it's those subtle things, right? Yeah. People shaking their hands. People coming out of their apartments, going to say hi to the corner people who are just sitting there having a nice talk. The music blaring in the background. the corner stores where you go in to get your a drink or a chips or something.
Yep.
It's that stuff. That stuff that those little subtle details of this movie where it makes you think like, huh, maybe we've been portrayed the hood differently in movies than it actually is, and it's coming from two people who wrote the film who actually grew up in here.
There. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, bro. Because a lot of these other movies that have been portraying hoods are not written from people actually from or experienced these scenarios. So it's like, man, maybe we're actually getting actual insight for a second. For like, what it actually is.
Yes, I went to bed to gunshots every single night of my life. Okay, but there's also aspects of my neighborhood where it was like people keeping an eye on the house for you to make sure nothing happens, calling you if something happened, telling you like, hey, this we saw a car pull up to your driveway. Are you home? Hey, do you need us to keep a package for you? It's little subtle things like that. Or getting out of your house, saying hi to the neighbor, saying things that not even people in the suburb want to do with each other. Yeah. People who live outside the city limits who live in their rich ass Cedar Park homes. They don't even want to talk with each other, the only method they want to talk to each other is by the internet or by text messages. It's those are things that movies don't portray about the hood, but instead they'll portray the drug deals happening, or the crime happening, or the police busting people and which are very real things about the place where we live.
Right.
But it's not the culture. It's not 100% the culture of it.
Exactly. And this is probably gonna not off topic, but like speaking of Colin David's character, I think he's similar to me. I don't say the N-word that much, but still I feel like there's some similarities with him. But like there's people like that, like me, that are from like I'm from Acres Home, which is a hood in the north of Houston, but his character isn't someone that's like super, ghetto or super hood, know. And there's a lot of black people like that. But whenever it's portrayed in the hood, it's not often like that. Nowadays I feel like it is. Like there's more they're portraying more of us like that. But that gets me on the topic of what you were saying when it comes to like portraying hoods on TV and everything. But I'll just say a lady that I know was afraid. I can't say who she is, but
no, it's fine. Just go ahead and censor it, right?
But she said that she's afraid of blacks, and and I asked her daughter, I was like, why did your mom feel that way? And she was like, it's just the stuff that she sees on TV. Yeah. And I'm like, that makes sense. When that's all that you see, when that's all that you see on TV. And of course you're gonna see celebrities on interviews and this, but when you see like shows, movies, TV, I don't know, video games and stuff, and like it's just nothing but gang, nothing but
gang affiliation,
domestic abuse, drugs. It's like, how else is she? If that's all that she sees, how else is she supposed to portray? And I know like there's of course interactions and all that, but still, if that's all you see on TV. Well, how else are you gonna feel?
Exactly, and it baffles me because it's something that that very apparent in my culture, mostly in the last generation because this new generation coming up is starting to call people out on their shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's like I sit there and I'm like, what the hell, man? Black people are like the funniest people ever, man. They're like so fun to hang out with. Like every time I hang out with you, it's like I'm always either laughing or smiling. Like. Who wouldn't love black people, man? Like they're just fucking awesome. Like
my jokes aren't that good.
Yeah, they're just so fucking awesome, man. Like, come on, like like it's crazy. It's this, but this movie deals with with racism, with gentrification, with identity, with all these things that a lot of like you're saying that a lot of movies have not portrayed the right way. Yeah, and it's usually because guess who's directing the movie? Some spoiled rich white boy or white girl that came from a rich area who's like, oh, you know what? This is what's kind of cool right now. Might as well just make a movie about it, right? Make a couple of.
I would love to make a hood movie.
Yeah. While other directors have a really hard time making their movie.
Yeah. But if you really want it, like that's for like this is kind of off topic, but if you watch any of Kendrick Lamar's videos, I love them to death. I legally download most of them because I just love how he portrays the black people in his videos. It's just like there is nothing like a lot of violence. Like a lot of times they're having good times. They're just community. But yeah, I love Kendrick Lamar's videos. They're on point.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring up the because you're talking about the people that wild out, right?
Yeah.
You know, the ones that are. That's not the person that even Cullen was.
Yeah.
When that it happened, it was just that he was provoked.
Yeah, exactly.
While Miles is the one who's trying to act that way.
Yeah.
And that's why he's like, why do you not want me? Why do you not want to say the word? You're basically acting like the word, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And he's like, that's where it clicks. So when he goes home to his girl, and she's calling him that, and he's like, don't call me that.
Yeah.
And it clicks there, and it's like,
it hit him.
It clicks there, like, yeah, this is not the way I should be acting, because it not only poses a bad image of me, but it also gets my friend in trouble.
Yeah.
When I'm not going to be taking any flack for it, because of my whiteness,
and not to mention his son, who is biracial.
Yeah.
His wife is a black lady. But man, there's a scene in this movie that honestly I was
tense.
I
really
was
tense.
holding my chair so tight because I was scared. I'm not even gonna
puts
lie.
it at his eye.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
oh.
So one of the guns that Miles has is that he leaves at the house where his kid is, and so they come and the kid's playing with the gun and it's loaded. So there's this huge moment of like just tenseness and suspense because like how do you handle this? You know, like he sees it as a toy. He doesn't see it as a weapon, and it's just, man, it's such a insane scene. Like I was really
It's really powerful.
It's
incredibly powerful the way no music. It's silent.
Yeah, no music
you just hear the
whatsoever.
background noises from outside, and he's slowly playing with it, slowly turning it. When he lets it to his eye, and you're like, oh no, please no. And it's just that moment. And also, you notice how the girl goes directly to him, to Cullen. It's like, is that your gun?
Yeah.
Without
sorry, I have to move the microphone. That's right. Yeah, she goes straight to Cullen. Not even her husband. Miles.
When once again, another aspect of saying that like it's black men who are the thugs.
Yeah.
It's black men who are the violent people. It's like nowhere in her mind did it think like, shit, my boyfriend might be the one who's doing this, who's bringing the gun into this house. And even then, here Cullen. Miles wants Cullen to take
responsibility. He did not want to own up that was his gun.
But he doesn't understand that if she would have called the cops, told something,
right,
that day would have been it.
Because she wouldn't call the cops on
Miles.
On Miles. She would definitely call him on Cullen.
Yeah.
And that would have been it.
Yeah.
That would have been game over.
Yeah.
He's back in jail.
Yeah. And it's like, these ladies are strong, very strong. I mean, even Val, even though there seems to be some, and I don't know if it's my place to say this, but there seems to be a very instance of inner racism, of those, just the things that have been ingrained into our brain by the media, by history. It's just those things, like as if, like, when Colin asks Val, when you see me, do you just see the man who was beating up that guy at the street, even though after he's done so much work to change who he is and really show that he's someone different? And she doesn't respond. In the same thing with Miles' girlfriend, going directly to Cullen. The criminal, the the convict.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's crazy, man.
And this is also touching on just like his hairstyle. He has braids, and it's been it's been going on for a while. But like any black male associated with braids, dreads, or any hairstyle like that, it isn't seen as serious, isn't taken seriously, is seen as a thug, and the fact that he kept his hair like that, the whole movie, I really respected that as well, because go ahead.
I was gonna say, he says Val, she goes, when are you gonna take him away? Like, and she says, she goes like, oh, it's because it's my identity, and she like, you don't understand, that is his identity. What's it called? That makes things like that makes him who he is. For me, it's like, for me, speaking Spanish, it's part of my identity. Yeah. If somebody were to tell me to stop speaking Spanish, I'd be like, no, it's who I am.
Exactly.
Or things like or just like, what's it called? things. Like if they were to tell me take down that flag, you don't even live there. It's part of my identity.
Yep.
By the way, I'm pointing at my Mexican flag. Let's go, take it down, right? It's part of my identity.
Yep.
So when you're telling somebody who gets out of jail, who is basically on 3 days to make sure he doesn't act up before, because he'll get sent to jail, to control the one thing that isn't that can't really affect them crazy.
Yeah.
Right. The one thing that makes him feel happy, makes him feel right, makes him feel that he's still him, even though he was locked away.
Mm-hmm.
And be told that attracts attention. It's baffling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. It's his hair. That's the one. That's what's gonna like decide whether he go back to jail or change his life around.
Yeah.
Really, his hair alone. And it's crazy that something like that could be a huge effect, because in all honesty, it can make and break you in this society. Like even me alone, I have dreadlocks, and I might have to cut them to get a job, and it's insane, it's just a lot of time people, that's just how it is. Yeah. And there's been rulings even about it, so it's just crazy.
I mean, it was wasn't there like a thing in the news a while ago, like early last year, about the player in the swimming team who was told to cut him off? Yeah, and they made him cut it off and everything. And it's like, it's
he was in the wrestling team. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just it's ordering and controlling the way that people identify themselves and are able to express their identity, because it's not easy to present blackness without it being a sign of what's it called, of racist ties, right? You can't go outside and not be seen differently. But when it's something as simple as your hair that you want to cling on to, it makes a big difference to you. Yeah. Like for once, this is something I can control. This is something I did for myself. It's not something that the country has put on me. Mm-hmm. Like this is the one thing that the country can't control. Like this is something that the system cannot control. The system can't control this part of my blackness.
Right.
Yeah. And when it's like told, like take it off because it attracts attention, cut it off because it's not right. It really, like I said, it really makes you think of how I prove my identity.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. I really got to give up one part of here too that really do incredible. It's incredible the way that they present post-traumatic stress disorder. When he sees the man get killed.
Yeah.
It is really interesting the way they present that. I've never like I told you, I went to bed to gunshots every night. Yeah. The sight of a gun gets me panicky. Yeah. Hearing bullets. In movies it's fine because I know it's fake, right?
Yeah, no, but in real
hearing
life,
actual gunshots, it makes me panic. I get my hands sweat, and I get like a panic attack in a way. And I really, 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 was happy that they presented post-traumatic stress disorder this way. I've never been to psychiatrist to be diagnosed with that. I'm probably am walking around with undiagnosed PTSD, but one day when I get money, I'll be able to actually get to look at me. But I really appreciate the movie for doing that.
Yeah, I agree, because it was just that alone will like honestly, I probably couldn't go about my day after that, or even like the week. Like he only had 3 days to get it together and handle it all, and I couldn't. I probably locked myself, and I know he couldn't do that. He had work and everything, but man, to see someone, especially wrongfully killed, and then the cops saw him, and that's what was like, what do I do? What do you do?
And just to be told, like, go on with your day.
Yeah.
To think because to think like that can't affect you.
Yeah.
And it makes me think of all the people where we grew up. How many of them are living with undiagnosed PTSD? Yeah. Because it's not healthy to go to bed to gunshots. It's not healthy to see people die because of gang affiliation. It's not healthy to see those things. Those things really mess with the way that your brain works. Yeah. And it's interesting that the way the movie portrays that. And it's just those subtle panic attacks he has. It's those, flashbacks. It's those, those dreams that he has, the nightmares.
Yeah, nightmares, yeah.
And I really got to give it up because not a lot of movies portray it like that.
Yeah, no.
Especially with men.
Oh, yes. Because it's probably gonna be this way for not a while. I feel like things are getting better, but like so many of us men are too proud, or we just look a lot of these things that we have, like, and a lot of us have issues, but we were like, nah, we don't need therapy, we don't need this, we don't need any of these things because we're men. And I'm like, no, man,
bro.
like a lot of us need help, and I would not once say someone else needs help and not talk about myself, because I know there's time where I had to go to psychiatrist because I really need assistance, and rather than be, going to church or seeking help from somebody, like something, man, because like you said, also, like, I know, especially like in growing up in my family, any kind of mental issue wasn't talked about or even seen as like an issue.
Yeah.
Anything, all we need is a good ass whooping with the belt. That would solve everything. And
if you're survival.
Yeah, but nowadays I'm glad that it's being brought to light that a lot of these mental issues and like you said, PTSD is a serious thing to worry about and to actually seek help. So like you said, the fact that he even touched on that, and like the more we dig into this movie, it's a lot of stuff I didn't even realize that they touched on, and like you said, they did, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Like,
it really is, man. And what's it called? Because it's the what's it called? It's the after effects of police brutality.
Yeah.
And because we're so conditioned to see those on, like, we see, like I always say, oh man, I don't want to see you in a Facebook video, but it's true. We see it all the time. It's those videos on unarmed black, and it's the same thing. Like, people don't understand. It's the reason why I don't like to share them on social media.
Yeah,
I understand wanting to spread awareness, but you never know what person is dealing with undiagnosed PTSD, and that video could be a trigger.
Yeah,
and could really send them off the rails. So you really start to analyze, the environment that people are growing up in, what those environments create in your head, and what they do for your mental health, and you really see that in Colin's character. Yeah.
And just a side note, like, I saw the video of an unarmed black man get killed on the bus, and I didn't know how to go about my day because I never thought that I would be able to see this on a live video on my phone while I'm riding the bus.
Yeah.
I saw an actual man get killed live, like over the internet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when Philando Castile got killed.
Oh yeah. True.
The live video, just he's just standing there lifeless, and it's just it's wild. I mean, I remind them one that I can relate to my culture. When Jonathan Hernandez was killed here in Houston. Yeah, just being choked out like a fucking lifeless person. Like, it's just, I remember that. It's crazy, man, and it's sadly it's the reality that we live in. It's the aspect of life that it's like really, it's the hard pill to swallow.
Definitely,
because it is wild that we hundreds of years of dealing with racism, we haven't yet found a way to make sure that there's some form of reform in the police department.
Yeah, because
it's like he's saying, trigger happy cops.
Yeah.
And the cop even says, I didn't want to. I mean, I didn't mean it. But Miles says, did you really?
Yeah.
And he really thinks it. He really starts to think about it. Like, if you're quick to pull the trigger because of a black guy is running away from you and you think he has a weapon on him, you really shouldn't be a fucking cop.
Yeah. Honest, like, seriously. And it's
look for another fucking job.
Because if you're trigger happy, like, well, who's to say that you won't do this again? Who's to say? Because if you did it once, I'm sure you could do it again. If you just see someone running unarmed and you just shoot, and not once, but multiple times, like, it's hard. And like, I know I'm not a cop, but that's why I'm not a cop, because I know who I am and what my capabilities. And if you're not suited for this, then why? I don't think you should have a badge. Yeah, and it's interesting that what's it called? They also go for the same people of color. Yep. Have them turn against them, and that's why when he saw that thing, be courageous. Yeah. Mhm.
And it's like, what are you doing? You're infiltrating the areas that you police so much and you terrorize.
Yeah.
So that way you can grab people from there, brainwash them, and turn them against their own.
Yeah.
And it's a very fucked up method that they play, and it's interesting the way it's portrayed in this movie.
There, man. And it's just it's one thing that I think that when it comes to it is it's crazy 'cause like you said they're white cops in a black neighborhood,
Yeah.
or black Latino majority neighborhood,
Yeah,
and it's like they how do you say it? How do you say it? It's like y'all come to these neighborhoods and expecting like different, I guess,
Yeah.
or like there's black people in this neighborhood, but if you guys are so prejudiced, why are you guys the one going to, like, you're going out of you're going to neighborhoods you're not from
Mhm.
to inspect and like not knowing the people there, so it's like you're how do you say it? Man, I don't know how to like word this.
yeah,
But basically, it's like they're going to places where they fear black people.
yeah,
And then and then when it comes to a black person that's doing a crime or not doing, I don't know if was the guy doing a crime or was he just fleeing? I couldn't remember.
he was just running.
Yeah.
What's it called? Because it was said that he had a unregistered firearm,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was just like he was just fleeing,
Yeah.
and sadly that's the thing. Even if, and that's the really really sad part about this. And like I said, people of color in this country have either two routes that end up in jail or death.
Yeah.
And even
Yeah.
if they would have found the weapon, chances are he would have died
Mhm.
then and there. It didn't matter if he ran; he still would have died.
Yeah.
He still would have died because of having a weapon on him. You know?
So it was either like either or situation. Even if he was registered,
Yeah, even if it
probably
was registered.
he
Yeah.
more,
But like I say,
don't
it's
stand a chance, man.
it's interesting because the way that we're conditioned to see these things. I mean, God damn it, bro. There's a show devoted to cops stopping people. It's been shown for years
Oh yeah.
on fucking cops, bro.
Yeah.
Like
Bad
we're
boys. What you gonna do?
Yeah, the only
What you
good thing
gonna
that
do
the only
when
good
they
thing
come
that this
for
show gave
you?
us. Oh yeah, we've been conditioned to see people of color being stopped on shows, and then it's somehow justified in those shows.
Yep.
So why wouldn't we as humans in this movie see and say like you shouldn't have fought him over a drink,
Yep.
you know? But it's not that. He was being an asshole,
Yeah.
and if he had to get an ass whooping, he had to get an ass whooping.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
And
But the thing is, the cards are stacked against you.
Yeah,
They've been stacked against you
always.
since you were born.
Yep.
Since the minute you came out of your mother's womb, with that skin, the cards have been played against you.
Yep. Constantly. Like it is. If it was I'll say it like that. If it was two white guys, they probably would have been
Yeah.
clean. Two black guys, probably both dead or in jail.
Yeah.
But one or the other, black and white, black guys.
Yeah.
Even if he was being beaten up, I feel like
Mhm.
somehow he also been charged.
Yeah. That's why I tell my darker skinned Latin friends, I tell them, don't act out in public.
Yeah.
Don't. Like, some of them get in fights, and I'm like, don't, bro. Because the
Yeah,
minute
it's
the
not
cops
worth it.
show up, it's you.
Yep.
You're the one who's going to get in trouble. Your white friend ain't going to get in trouble. That's for sure.
Yeah.
You're the one who's going to get in trouble. You're the one's going to, you're the one who will either go one route. You're
Yeah.
going to jail, or you're going to get shot.
And I joke about it a lot. I really do. Because
know.
like I do. Like
Some-
especially with my my Mexican friends. They
Mm-hmm.
know who they are. I love y'all. We always go out and we wild sometimes. And I
Yeah.
tell them every time, I'm like, they be like, hey bro, let's go do this. I was like, hell nah. Because who
Yeah.
the first person they gonna put the handcuffs on? Me. Then y'all.
Yeah, man.
So-
And it's the really really tough part about how you live in this country. You know, it's like it's simple things like that. It's simple as not being able to wear a hoodie in public,
Yeah.
or not being able to walk home at night. What's it called from your job?
Yeah.
Simple things like that. But it's like it's the consequences, and it's the consequences of being that skin color that in this movie some people just don't see it,
Yeah.
or they're just what's it called being they're just so they've just forgotten the identity so much that it's easy for them to tell Colin don't be black.
Yeah.
Just erase your identity so that way it's easier for you walking out. But what they don't understand is that gives them, the enemy, the upper hand.
Yep.
It tells them that they've won.
That gives them the power.
Yeah. And that's the topic of, we go into the topic of gentrification in this movie, which is a big one.
Big.
Especially coming from where we live. Back home, it's starting to get gentrified. Bad.
Yeah.
And it's
really? Damn,
Ronjo?
yeah.
And it's the most heartbreaking shit I had to see, man.
Really?
Yeah, man.
You got to Brownsville? Lord.
Yeah.
Damn.
And it sucks because I thought that it was eventually not going. It was eventually going to happen. I just didn't think it was going to happen this early.
Yeah.
It's starting downtown, and it's going to reach some of the hoods, and that's y'all motherfuckers take away my Mr. Taco from Boca Chica. I'm going to start swinging. That's for sure. You take my favorite torta place on Southmost, I'm going to start swinging. It's just that simple. And it's so you see these houses. It was so powerful, that scene when they go move the stuff from the house.
Yeah.
And the photo album of the black family and the pictures, and they're like, the white girl just says, "Oh, there's just junk and take it all out and leave it at the dump."
Yeah.
You don't realize this house is what's it called? Years of history.
Years, man.
Years of history. That's why I keep telling you, you need to watch The Last Black Man in San Francisco. It's pretty much the same aspect.
The last black man?
Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah.
Check it out.
It's just, what's it called? Just like years of history are in that house. And it's so easy for you to be like, yeah, I pretty much paid dirt cheap for this, renovated it, and now I'm going to make the rent in the neighborhood go the way the fuck up. Basically kick out all the black and Latino people out of here. Yeah. And just, yeah.
Yeah, this is the same thing going on in where I'm from, Acres Homes. Fofo, hey. Yes, sir. But because as of now, Acres Homes has been there for over 100 years. A lot of slaves migrated there and created their own homes once they were free. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's such a powerful place. That I love Acres Homes, and yeah, that's where I grew up. And it sucks because, like you said, people are buying a lot of these old houses, and they're renting them out and making the price super expensive, rebuilding them, and you know, and it sucks because and it sucks for me because like one of my cousins had to sell her house, and he sold it to a family, and they flipped it, and they're gonna rent it. And it sucks because that house has been there forever. My grandmother's friend, her name was Miss Laza, rest in peace. She lived there. And he had to sell all of their stuff, and I took some, you know, because I wanted to remember them. But man, it was just like, dang, like I just hope it doesn't get to that point, like to where there's just no more of us there.
Yeah.
And like I don't mind, like, you know, because there's a barbecue place there called Byrnes Barbecue. Yeah, I see y'all out there too. Props, Byrnes Barbecue, 4 Acres Homes. And Indian people come, white people, Asian for the barbecue, and that's, you know, I don't mind it at all. Yeah, because I'm like, this is for everybody. But when it comes to the point where they're kicking our people out, that's where I'm like, nah, like we can't. We've been here for over 100 years, and I want it to be 100 plus more years. Yeah, because this is. But
that's where Miles in the movie, and when he's talking to the guys at the party, they go like, "Get out of where?"
Oh yeah,
get out of where? I've been here. I've been here my whole life.
Yep.
This is the place that I call home. You guys came from Portland to come here because it's so cheap, apparently. Yep. And then when you get here, it gets fucking hard to live here because you boost up the fucking rent. Yep. Because there's a bunch of white people in this neighborhood, and it's a more safer community, and it's easier to live in. So what happens? You raise up the price. A lot of rich white folk can come live over here, and then what you got? Black people out on the street who can't find a place to live. Latino people in the street who can't find a place to live either. You know, it's crazy. It's you know, and it's also not just like old white, what's it called, poor white people too. Yeah. More white people who can't find a place to live because that's the place that they've called home so long. Yeah, and it's happening back home, and it saddens you, right? Because you know, like Oh man.
Brownsville, bro. I don't know why I never would have expected Brownsville.
Yeah, I said it was gonna happen, but at a slower pace. But
Yeah.
I didn't think it was gonna be last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Shit.
like, yes, I get it. Like, you get all the coffee shops and
Yeah, I get y'all.
you know, you
I
get,
want
like,
y'all macchiatos
Yeah.
and espressos. I get it.
but there's a consequences to these things, and it's like, you know, the erasure of the culture that once was there. You know, now you can't get your favorite burgers at $3.
Right.
Now green juice costs $10 there. You know, like in the movie, $10. The butter Christ, the fucking butter Christ, or like things like, you know, Quick Way. You know, if you tell them you want a burger, yeah, they're gonna give you vegan if you don't tell them you want meat on it.
Yeah.
You know, it's simple things like that that change the culture of the place.
Agree.
I'm not saying anything wrong with veganism.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
at
you know,
all,
it's just things like, you know, like what's it called? Just things like that. You know, the culture rapidly shifts,
Yeah.
and it just doesn't feel like home anymore.
Right, and there's definitely a way to keep your culture and at the same time, you know, increase the value.
Mhm.
There's a way, but of course, no one wants to do that because there's more money in their pocket.
Yeah.
Not doing it that way,
Yeah.
and they would say, you know, f culture.
Mhm.
Forget that. I want more money in my pocket, and so let's just gentrify. And
But even then, even if you keep the culture, you get the people who want to appropriate it and want to claim it as their own.
Yes,
Yes. You want to claim it as their, and that's why that guy at the party
I remember
in the film,
Mhm.
he was like, "Look at this fucking culture vulture," but he didn't know, like, oh, this guy was from
Yeah.
the hood, like he
Mhm.
grew up there, you know. But it's such a thing you're used to seeing. Like, you're used to seeing so many people like want to be black, but not want to take the consequences of being
Yeah.
black. I see so many people who want to be Latino, who on Cinco de Mayo wear all these things, but they don't understand that there's a consequence to being, like, you know, being Latino, not like being asked just because of the way you look or the way you talk if you're here legally.
Yep.
You know, things are not being killed in the streets, right? You know, it's like it's you know, even if you were to keep the culture, there's still those people out there who prey upon your culture and want to take it as their own because they don't know that they don't have culture.
Yeah. And it's I'm glad you talked because what was it, I forgot what guys it was in the movie. It was when they were telling the story about
Yeah.
and they were, you know, talking hood or whatever.
Yeah. And he says the N-word, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
he said the N-word.
and his friend, the black friend, he goes, "Hey, bro, no, you can't say that. Like, you can say it with me, but not with them." Like,
not with them.
yeah, and it's interesting because it's the same thing. It's people wanting to claim something that's not theirs
Exactly.
to prove something.
Yep.
To prove something. It's why Miles gets the gun. It's not for protection. It's to prove that he's a hard motherfucker from the hood.
Yep.
It's only to prove that.
That's it.
But this guy over here was telling the story. It's so he can prove, like, oh, I'm one of the guys from, like, the lower income communities.
Yep.
Like I'm cool, right? You
Yep.
know, and like you don't understand. That does more harm than good. It might be a bunny ass story to tell, but after that story ends, when you said it, there was still moments that came after that where it was really hard for Colin to get his life back.
Yeah.
Because he went to jail, because he had to be on probation, and it's great. And even after probation ends, there's still that image that he has to carry with him.
Yep. For
Yeah.
the rest of his life over one thing.
Mm-hmm.
While, you know, other people, they're able to move past it, but
Yeah.
that once it's with you,
Come on,
it's
bro.
with you.
I know people. I'm not gonna go ahead and give names here, but you know, motherfuckers went to were arrested for doing bad things with minors, and now they're the fucking CEOs of fucking companies.
Tell me about it. Huh.
Yeah, you know, and
Yeah,
guess
they're
what?
definitely behind bars. I'll tell you that. Shit.
Oh yeah, they're definitely.
Hey,
it's
man,
nice to know that you can
get
go
in
to
the
jail.
fight. Let's lock them up.
Lock them up. Yeah. Oh, it's nice to know that you can touch a 15-year-old girl and become the CFO of a fucking company, right? You know, it's not like it can't affect you, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I guess
It's some bullshit, man.
That's just how it is now, huh?
Yeah,
That's how the laws
so-
is. Oh yeah.
yeah.
Justice system. What can I tell you?
Yep.
Can't argue with it, right?
Yeah, I can't argue with it, right?
Fuck.
It makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's really interesting the way that they provide the whole gentrification thing, and it's what's it called? It's just, you know, like the tech companies and the quick way. It's funny how the quick. It was really funny with the quick.
it was. I can't.
What do you mean they cater? It's quick way because you get it quick and it's on the way. And it's like it's true. Like when the fuck, like, you know, imagine if Waterbury started catering. Like, what the fuck?
Oh
like,
my
or, you know, like
gosh,
you know, like
bro.
what the hell? Like What are you talking about? Like it's a catered. Like it's because it's on the way you get it there. It's not something you really want.
I'm saying that's the whole thing. It's fast food. Food you get fast. It's
not meant for the parties.
It's not.
No, that's what pizza is. But like fast food burgers, bro. It's like, come on, bro. It's funny, man. It's like, it's crazy, man.
Give
It's
me
like
one of those gourmet burgers.
gourmet burgers, man. It's like, oh my God, let's go ahead and put a vegan burger on the menu because, like, we got to make sure that everything is sold here. Like, yeah, it's crazy, dude. And like I say, it erases the culture. It erases the people that are there. But it's like, you saw it. 150 white people in that party.
Mm-hmm.
Only 3 black people.
Yep.
And then that guy comes up and he's like, don't worry about it, homies. Come on, dog. Like, it's like, it's they're microaggressions. It's the things that Colin learned from it in the film.
Yeah.
To deal with that because it's what got him in trouble, right?
Right.
Hold on. And then, what's it called? I just lost my train of thought.
Yeah, same.
And then Miles, on the other hand, what's it called? Doesn't understand that.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's really interesting in the film. Let me go ahead and stop the recording. So it gets to Colin, well, not to Colin, to Miles when that guy tells him those things because he doesn't understand how to maneuver that, right? He doesn't understand. He doesn't know how to deal with that. Whereas Colin had to see the consequences of being provoked by something like that.
Right.
But that's when he also doesn't understand that because of his whiteness, he's able to get away with getting in a fight. Right. The people don't see, like, he's got blood, he's bloodied up at the next day at work. Nobody sees him. Like, nobody gives him the look, But here's this guy, like a wife beater, dreadlocks, black. You tell me the lady clenches her son's fist.
Yeah.
Clenches her son's hand. Come on. It's those subtle things that this film does. It's really incredible. Right. Now, I just want to talk about that final scene. Scene before we head out. Yeah. Yeah, so,
After disturbance.
Yeah. Come on, man. It's dumb. It's dumb.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Anyway,
I do whatever the fuck I want here. Right. Look, she goes down. He finds out that the cop, the husband that's living in that house is the cop that killed the unarmed black man.
Right. And they were moving it. They were moving for this house.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were the movers for this house. And
yeah.
Yeah, but continue.
And the cop seems to be really, really, like, taking it really hard.
Yeah.
And it's really the part where it's something that a lot of people don't understand. You have to unpack the things that were in your head for a long time. I had to unpack the way that I was brought up.
Right.
Had to unpack what generations of my people were thinking. And where I realized that stuff I was doing was wrong. And here's the cop doing the same thing. He's like, I just fucking killed someone.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting what he says. The only way that people listen to us black people, to you black people, is when you rap.
Yeah.
And it really gets you thinking. Because it's true.
Yeah.
How many times it'd be like, God, man, I didn't know this shit happened until J. Cole rapped about it.
Oh, yeah. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be real, when it comes to a lot of the young generation, what do they listen to?
Yeah.
A shitload of hip hop, a shitload of rap.
And not saying that's a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not.
Right?
It's not.
But nobody picks up a James Baldwin book anymore.
No one picks up any books. No one looks at these documentaries about actual life, or look at these actual biopics made by black people and Latino people. No, but they listen to the music. They listen to the music, and that's where they get it. That's where they think just from listening to the music that they have insight just from the songs. But I'm like, that's not enough. And
no, it's not enough.
Just listening to a J. Cole verse or album does not make you in touch with black people or in touch with the community.
And I have to bring this up. I believe it's from 1985 Interlude to the Fall on KOD when he says, it's fine that you dress this way and you got tats on your face, right? He goes, but they want to see, these white kids, they want to see you act black because that's what they think black people are.
Yeah.
But you don't think about your impact on that.
Nope.
And it's like, so that's when Colin is rapping. It's like, this is the only way you're gonna listen to me. This is the only way the world will listen to me, because they don't want to hear me preach about it on they don't want to hear me preach about it on TV. because they'll think of me as just another just another black guy who's who's living in the past.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear. They don't want to hear. They don't want to see me write about it because nobody wants to buy my books anymore.
No.
Because they're not reading anymore. But what's the one way they're gonna listen to me? It's if I rap about it.
Yep.
And that scene is freaking powerful.
It's super powerful, man.
Powerful. The fact that the cop automatically runs for the gun.
Oh.
And he's not even. He doesn't even have the gun out yet.
Nope.
No. He's just the guy. And I'm pretty sure the wife told him there was gonna be movers in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that goes, shit, I gotta get the gun.
Get this gun.
The object that got him in the situation that he's there overthinking about.
Yep.
And it's really, really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly grounded.
And then
incredible.
I know he's seen the cops seen like all the hate that he's getting for killing the guy because
Yeah.
you know they put the coronations on the sidewalk where
Yeah.
he got killed and everything,
Yeah.
and everyone was like, man, forget this pig, you know, all this.
Yeah.
Everybody's, you know.
I can't believe I didn't bring this one up.
Oh,
When the group of people, what's it called? I don't know what the fuck that was. What's it called? Colin stares at that. He analyzes it. He feels something,
yeah.
and then there's just these 4 people just walking by like it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have things like that all the time, like around our neighborhoods,
Yeah,
of people who
same.
died in like car crashes,
Mm.
people who died what's it called? Shootouts, gang wars.
Yeah, drunk driver.
Yeah.
All that. Mm.
And I always look at them. I'm like, oh shit, man. And I think how many people just drive by here, ignore them, and don't understand a fucking life was lost.
Yeah.
A life was lost. Yeah. So go back. That's what I wanted to bring up because I was like, that was just so incredibly filmed too.
Because we do it for honestly almost every day. Sorry, it's just sort of annoying. But yeah, and I'm glad that they put that in the
Refrigerator
movie.
making noise again. I hate that. I hate that, dude.
Yeah.
Your refrigerator does that too?
Yeah, mine does.
Yep. It's like it's got a mind of its own.
Yeah, bro. I just look to the side when I'm asleep. Anywho. But yeah, and that's sorry, but yeah, that's why with the last scene, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
I know. It's the damn refrigerator does that. Yeah. No, that's why that last scene is so powerful. It's really why it's so powerful. Just the way it just creates that space there where it's like, because it's not just the cop learning, it's also Miles learning.
Yeah.
And that because of that last scene is where we have them two just understanding. He's finally on probation. You know, life's gonna be really hard, but you know he's got a friend that understands what he's went through, and he understands the situation at hand, and now he'll always have his back.
Always, yeah.
You know, the world will like blind spot. The world will always see one image, but there's an image that the world will never see of you.
Never.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what makes this movie fucking great.
Agreed. It was so good, bro. And like just touching on this, but bro, there was a white guy and a black guy, both going through their own struggles, both you know, one not understanding the other and vice versa. You know, he's not understanding why are you trying to be black when you're white and you have these opportunities. Yeah. And he's like, why are you black and not being hood? And and as you can see the crosshairs and how they're both struggling, and the fact that they touch on both, man, props to that. Yeah.
I want to see what Carlos Lopez Estrada makes next.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely watching this next movie, hands down.
Incredible filmmaker, and this is a movie that I highly recommend you guys to watch. Even though you pretty much heard the whole thing already, you know it's fine. You guys need to watch. This is important viewing. I recommend this one along with Last Black Man in San Francisco. They're really incredible movie.
One out.
So Jibril, we're here at the end, man, and we want to hear from you. What's a movie you recommend to the people to watch?
Sheesh. What do I recommend that you guys watch?
Before we get people coming over here and telling get mad.
Again. Okay. Man, I'm on a. God, it's a tough one. All right.
Come on, bro.
Oh, fuck. Sorry, I did not come prepared. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, it'll come to me. I watched so many movies.
Yeah.
But this one did not come to me at all, bro. How about we do the...
You can look at my wall to cheat if you want.
I was already doing it. Fruitvale Station. Please go. Fruitvale Station.
Fruitvale Station.
Yes, hands down. Please go watch Fruitvale Station.
Yeah.
I had a huge debate about this movie with
100%.
my friend. And, you were there.
Yeah, of course,
Raul was there.
Yeah.
Please go watch. Recommendation, Fruitvale Station.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
And my friend, which is a movie you called dibs on season 2.
Season 2?
Mm-hmm.
Last Black Man in San Francisco.
All right, my friend. There it is. There it is. The movie you're being tasked to see in season 2.
I gotta watch it. We're gonna talk about it.
That's the first movie you'll come back to talk about.
Yes, sir.
You know, if Jibril wants to come back in season, we still got 5 slots left in the season. So
if y'all want me back, post it, please. Post it on Nerdcore and also the Nerdy Chicanos Twitter page if you want me back.
Yeah.
Or any
I
of
mean,
these
you
slots.
can come back. Like, it's not whether you want.
We gotta hear the people.
You gotta hear the people. Yeah. I want to thank you all so much for listening,
Yeah,
and it's been
it.
an incredible time. My friend Jibril, you can find him at Burrowmonger on Twitter and Instagram.
Yes, sir.
It's Nerdy Chicano here on Instagram and Twitter as well. You know, I want to thank everybody who listens to the shows, not just this show, but also the Nerdcore Podcast Network, High Flyer Radio, Imper Files, Nerdy Chicano Show, whatever it is, right? Even the main show. Thank you guys so much for listening. You guys are really awesome, and you're really the reason why I wanted to make another show. We are, hoping that you can go to the podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, leave a review, and help us out there so people can find the show.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me, don't want to burp into the microphone, right? Oh, it's tasty. It smells good. But, you know, also go and make sure you check out the website, nerdcore.com, for written content. Check us out on YouTube. These episodes go on YouTube. And if you guys want to listen on there, it's all good. Also, make sure that you check out our Patreon where you get this episode days. Like this is going to get put up literally tomorrow.
Yeah. And
it won't be up for the public until in 2 weeks. So you're going to get a lot of time with this episode.
Oh, yeah.
So, you guys get on it.
Please.
So, yeah.
Upload it.
Yeah. Patreon.com/nerdcore. For just $1 a month, you're going to get this episode a week early.
Week early, bro. That's basically free. $1 a month.
So I want to thank associate producers Cassie and Sarah, executive producers. Cassie and Sarah, we love you a lot. Thank you so much for being an associate producer. Executive producers, we have Grayson Barker. You can follow him at Warlord1Bar on Twitter, Grayson Barker 98 on Instagram. We also have the incredible Shane SRK, who you can follow on Twitch at twitch.tv/SRRKK. Watch him play some games. And on Twitter at SRRKK Twitch. Also, make sure you go follow our wonderful $25 patrons, Bryce, who you can follow on Instagram and Twitter at BrownRice199696. Also, Tony, my wonderful cousin, real nerdy dad. He's a nerd and he's a dad, so you know he's the real nerdy dad.
Super straightforward.
Love
it.
With that being said, my friends, it's been a wonderful time here at the Cinema Condition. I don't know who I'll be having next week, but it'll be fun. And I really love having Jibril on, even though we got interrupted. But it's okay, because it's a fun time. And it's raw and uncut.
I enjoyed it a lot, man. I really like this show.
Yep.
Not saying, which one like more, but I really enjoy us having this discussion and talking about the movie. It's really dope.
Yeah.
Please have me back.
Yeah,
Gotta
we'll
get
see.
away from my kids.
All right, my friends. Cinephiles, go watch a movie. And I'll see you on the next one, my friends.